It all starts in a lawyer's office that smells like old books and unresolved tension. You sit in a leather chair that squeaks every time you shift, surrounded by siblings who haven't looked at you like a real person since your father got sick. One by one, the inheritance gets read out: a vacation home for your sister, a sizable stock portfolio for your oldest brother, a sleek downtown office building for the golden child in finance. And then there's you. You get the gas station. Your sister actually laughs out loud. Wait, the one with the dead neon sign and the rats in the pump house. The lawyer clears his throat like he's trying to hold back a smirk. It's called Redline Service and Supply, and yes, it's fully transferred to you. Your brother leans back in his chair grinning. Guess Dad thought you needed a fixer-upper, or maybe a reality check. You say nothing, just nod. Not because you're okay, but because you know the difference between embarrassment and opportunity. And embarrassment is louder. Afterward, at the cheap catered lunch, they insisted on hosting your siblings trade barbed jokes behind wine glasses. Are you gonna wear a paper hat and pump gas yourself? You'll probably make more on lotto tickets than oil changes. Hey, maybe turn it into a haunted house. It already looks like one. You smile politely. Let them get their jabs in. Every family has a language, and yours speaks in hierarchy. Always has. The truth is, you don't even know the last time you visited the gas station. Maybe when you were 10, watching your dad yell at a leaking hose. It was never glamorous, never shiny, just there, quiet and overlooked, kind of like you. You don't defend the station. You don't remind them how much time your dad spent there, how he'd leave home before sunrise and come back long after dark smelling of diesel and burnt coffee, how his hands were always cracked, always busy, always building something no one else saw value in. No, you let them laugh, because underneath all that condescension is one simple fact: he left you something. And he didn't leave it as a punishment. He left it because he knew you'd pay attention. You take the keys that afternoon. They're on a greasy ring with a metal tag labeled Redline. No ceremony, no welcome mat. Just you and a lock that sticks until you jiggle it the way your dad used to. Inside, it smells like memory. Faint, oil-tired rubber paper turned soft with age. The lights flicker. One of them buzzes. You don't turn it off. You walk behind the counter, past the dusty register, into the little office where your dad kept a thermos and a beat-up recliner with a broken lever. It's all still there, frozen in time. Even the calendar on the wall is 6 years out of date, the same year he got diagnosed. You sit in his chair. It leans a little too far back, creaks like it might tip. You let it. You stare at the corkboard on the wall filled with faded receipts, old licenses, a photo of you holding a wrench when you were 8, smiling like the station was Disneyland. You had forgotten that photo even existed. But he hadn't. You exhale. This wasn't a joke. It was an invitation. The jokes don't stop. If anything, they gain momentum. Group chat messages come in like popcorn pops, fast, hot, smug. How's business, boss? Want me to send you a squeegee for your birthday? Hope you're enjoying your inheritance of asphalt and regrets. Your sister even posts a photo on her Instagram, a zoomed-in shot of the Redline station, its paint peeling like sunburnt skin. The caption reads, "When your dad leaves you character instead of cash." It gets 218 likes. You see every name, especially the ones you used to call friends. You don't respond. You just swipe out of the app and walk to the back of the gas station where the light bulbs flicker like they're having second thoughts about staying on. The whole place groans like a ship that hasn't sailed in decades. The roof is bowed. The pump handles are held together with tape and mercy. You make a mental list. Roof repair, electrical overhaul, possibly exorcism. Still, you show up the next day. And the next. You buy cheap coffee and drink it black. You sweep the floor. You fix what you can, mostly with YouTube videos and sheer willpower. You repaint one wall just to see how it feels. Better. Still not good. But better. A local guy named Earl stops by. Longtime mechanic, used to work the tire shop before it closed. Says he remembers your dad. Hardest working man in town. Never took a sick day. You nod. He eyes you. You keeping it? Yeah. He smiles. Good. Thought they'd sell it for scrap. They meaning your siblings. They would have flipped it for a fraction, slapped their names on a condo development, and called it legacy. You're not interested in that. You want something that breathes. Later, you find a box in the back room, thick with dust tied shut with twine. Inside are 3 ledgers, handwritten, pages and pages of tiny, deliberate numbers. Maintenance logs, handwritten notes about customers. Larry won't pay on time, but he will pay eventually. Mona likes the grape soda. Stock more. Fixing pump 3. Again, maybe next week. One phrase repeats across pages: land option secured. You furrow your brow. You pull up the town's property records. It's all public, all digital now. You type in the station's parcel number, and then you see it the surrounding lots, parcels, driveways, and even the small plot next to the strip mall. All under one name, your father's, and now yours. Your fingers tighten on the mouse. You zoom out, then out again. The Red Line station isn't just a box of oil-stained rags on a dead street. It sits at the corner of 3 expanding zones, a planned development corridor that, if it breaks ground, will need access. Roads, pipelines, zoning approval. Your land becomes the bottleneck. And no one saw it coming, especially not your siblings who keep sending you memes about gas station hot dogs and working-class cosplay. You stare at your screen. They think you inherited junk. They're about to find out you inherited the gate. You start showing up earlier, not because there's any rush. There's still no line of cars, no buzz of business, just the silence of a property. Waiting for someone to look closer, but you go anyway. You get there before the sun crests the diner sign across the street. You leave the lights off and sit in the office reading your dad's ledgers like scripture. That's when you start noticing the details. He wasn't just logging repairs or sales. He was mapping behaviors, tracking trends, scribbled notes like new zoning notice past lot next door will need access. Buyer offered 70 ko for dirt lot. Declined. Wait for bigger fish. City planner drinks decaf. Comes every Thursday. He was playing chess, and nobody even knew there was a game. The receipts tucked inside the folders show things: too early payments on empty plots, easements that connect to future construction zones, little signatures in faded ink that spell out leverage. Every square foot he owned wasn't an accident. It was insurance. The man ran this gas station like a pawn shop and a poker table. And now he's passed the deck to you. The station itself is still a mess. That doesn't change. There's a nest of wasps in the awning. The garage door groans like it's haunted. But something about the place feels less like failure now and more like potential wrapped in dust. You take photos, inside, outside, angles that make the place look halfway decent. You send them to an old friend, Theo, who used to run a detailing shop with you in college before his dad made him get serious. He replies in minutes. Is this real estate porn or a midlife crisis? You reply, how about both? You meet him for lunch. You bring copies of the parcel maps, the zoning plans, the old receipts. He skims them in silence, then looks up and whistles. So, your siblings laughed and you got the last laugh and the land under their investments. You nod. They don't know yet. Theo leans back. Let's fix it up. Low budget, high impact. Give it vintage bones but modern polish. Like nostalgia with Wi-Fi. You grin. Red Line revival. You shake on it. The work starts small. Power wash the siding. Fix the sign. Replace the dead lights with warm LEDs. You even start stocking basic drinks and snacks, not because you're expecting foot traffic, but because it makes the place breathe again. Theo pulls in favors a friend who restores old signage, a cousin who lays asphalt, a guy who can refurbish the rusted-out bench out front for half the normal cost. The whole thing starts to glow. You don't post about it. You don't brag. You just let the paint dry, and the vines get trimmed, and the windows start to reflect light again. Then one morning something shifts. A customer stops in. Just some guy in a beat-up pickup looking for a cold drink. You sell him a Coke. He leaves. 15 minutes later, another car. Then 2 more. Nothing crazy, just movement, life. People drawn in by the aesthetic or the smell of fresh pavement, or maybe just the fact that something on this street finally isn't falling apart. You put out a sign that says Free Coffee Fridays. The local paper runs a story: Red Line rises, the forgotten gas station gets a facelift. Your siblings don't say anything. Not yet. But your sister likes the article on Facebook. And you feel it the first ripple. It starts with a voicemail. Your brother, the one who inherited the downtown office building, calls on a Sunday night. You let it ring out. You haven't spoken in weeks. When you finally check the message, his voice is casual, rehearsed. Hey, just driving past your little gas station. Looks like you've been sprucing it up. Cute stuff. Let me know if you need advice on scaling. I've got experience. You replay it once, not for the content, but for the pause. The slight break before cute stuff. The sound of pride shifting just slightly into caution. They're beginning to realize something's off, but it's not until you get the certified letter that everything clicks into place. It's addressed to your father still, but forwarded to you as the legal owner. A notice from the city planning committee about upcoming construction. Turns out the mall expansion is moving forward. The proposed access road. It cuts right through the vacant lot adjacent to your station. A lot that, according to public record, you own. And suddenly your rundown gas station isn't just quaint, it's leverage. You reread the parcel map. Your father had outlined it all in pencil years ago. Future devs scribbled along the edges. Arrows pointing to roadways not yet built. Your gas station sits like a keystone. The development can't go forward unless they get your land. You call Theo. He swears so loudly you have to hold the phone away. You have no idea how rare this is, he says. You're sitting on the hinge of this town. You nod, smiling into the silence. I think Dad knew. That week, developers start sniffing around. One offers you a polite lowball figure with fake sincerity. You thank him, smile, and tell him to double it before you even consider. He leaves with his handshake half finished. Then it happens. Your sister calls. She doesn't even pretend it's about anything else. Hey, so I heard some rumors about the land next to your station. You know, the one you inherited. Apparently it's, well, important. You keep your voice neutral. Oh, that old junk. She hesitates. Yeah, but I think it's more than that. We should talk. I mean, we're family. That's the moment it flips. They're no longer laughing. They're circling. And you're the one holding the leash. You spend the next few days getting everything in order. Legal titles, tax receipts, surveys. You meet with a local attorney just to make sure your documents are bulletproof. He reads them, then raises his eyebrows. You know he says you could lease them the access. Long-term contract. Keep ownership. They'll need to pay you monthly. You sit back in your chair. What about the rest of it? He shrugs. Depends how deep you want this to go. You control the land under at least 3 properties your siblings just started renovating. You blink. He slides the folders back to you. They didn't do their due diligence. That night, you take a drive to your brother's newest rental development. The one with the banner out front, luxury living starts here. You smile as you realize what the fine print doesn't say. That it's built on your dirt. They don't ask. Not at first. They just show up. Your brother's BMW pulls into the red line lot one morning. Tires crunching freshly laid gravel. He gets out slowly, like a man who's unsure whether to play cool or act impressed. You're in the garage checking tire pressure on a customer's car. Yes, actual customers now, when you hear the footsteps. Place looks good, he says, hands in pockets, voice too casual. You don't look up, thanks. He waits a second, then adds, didn't realize you were turning it into something real. That's the thing about your family compliments, always arrive late and never alone. You wipe your hands on a rag and glance at him. You hear for gas. He smirks. No, thought we could talk business. Of course he did. You walk him inside the station. The front counter gleams now. Theo found a reclaimed wood slab, and you sanded it by hand. There's a coffee stand to the side, stocked with better beans than your brother's downtown cafe. A teenage employee waves from behind the counter. Your brother notices. You're hiring. You nod. 2 full-time, 1 part-time. Thinking about adding car detailing next month. He whistles low. From junkyard to job creator. Who knew? You sip your coffee, letting the silence do its work. He finally says it. Look, we're expanding that apartment complex. It turns out the main utility trench runs across that strip behind your station. You raise an eyebrow. The one I own. He clears his throat. Yeah, that one. You wait. I was thinking. Maybe we could draw up a lease agreement, Work together on this. You pause, then smile. Sure, let me get my lawyer's number. He blinks, caught between gratitude and realization. You hand him a card, send your proposal to him, and maybe loop in your contractor. Last I checked, your foundation line is sitting 3 feet into my parcel. His mouth opens slightly, then closes. He leaves in silence. 2 days later, your sister visits. She brings pastries, tries to hug you. You offer her a folding chair instead. She spends 10 minutes complimenting the floors, the lighting, the charm of your little revival. Then she drops the act. We're thinking of converting the office building into a wellness hub. The parking situation's tight. Your backlot could... She doesn't finish the sentence. You finish it for her. Could become your solution. For a price. She looks wounded, like you've suddenly become a stranger. You don't flinch. I'm not being unkind, you say gently. I'm being professional. Later that week, Theo laughs while reviewing the lease terms. You're charging them double the going rate. You shrug. I'm offering them convenience. That's a premium service. The local newspaper wants a follow-up article. Redline the little station that became the town's gatekeeper. You decline the interview. Let the myth build on its own. Your siblings stop texting jokes. They start emailing drafts, proposals, requests. They start CCing lawyers. They start addressing you as Mr. You keep a folder titled Landlord Correspondence. Inside are copies of every lease, every invoice, every transaction where they now owe you. The best part, you never had to say I told you so. Your father already did when he handed you the keys. You notice the shift the moment they stop pretending it's coincidence. At first, their visits were couched in sarcasm. Just checking to see if the rats have unionized. Thought we'd grab one of those legendary gas station cappuccinos. That was their armor, the illusion of detachment. But now they linger. Your oldest brother, the one who once joked that your inheritance was just enough grease to fry your dignity, shows up in khakis too clean for someone who supposedly just came from a construction site. He hovers near the coffee counter, eyeing the line of customers, watching cash change hands, calculating something behind his polite nods. He doesn't joke anymore. Your sister comes by later that week with a friend, a local real estate investor, and you catch them outside gesturing toward your gravel lot, like it's a specimen under glass. You step outside. Problem. Your sister spins too bright. No. Just showing a lease here the neighborhood. Things are really growing around here. I mean, it's amazing what you've done with this. She says this the way someone might say swamp. Elise, to her credit, says nothing, just studies the edges of your land and nods once slowly. You stand in the doorway and sip your coffee. Later that night, you look up property listings near the Red Line station. You're not surprised to see activity. Your siblings are clearly trying to flip their assets into momentum. They're building rental units, updating office facades, launching branding campaigns. But every building they own touches a piece of land you control. And they know it now, so they pivot. Suddenly your siblings start being nice. Like ridiculously nice. Your brother emails you a spreadsheet of potential joint ventures. Your sister sends a fruit basket. Your youngest sibling, who once said you peaked in high school shop class, starts tagging you in social media posts about local entrepreneurs making a difference. You don't respond to any of it. Instead, you make upgrades. A hand-painted mural goes up along the side wall of Redline, honoring your dad, black grease on white brick, him in his work shirt, smiling, holding a wrench like a trophy. The town notices. Local veterans groups drop by. A high school shop teacher brings his class. One afternoon, you spot your brother parked across the street just watching. You wave. He drives off. You never planned for this. You didn't sit in your dad's busted chair with dreams of revenge. You were just trying to make something of what he left. But now, you're at the center of something bigger than memory. You're the pivot point, the one thing they need, and the one person they never thought they'd have to ask. And they haven't really asked yet, not out loud. But it's coming. You see it in every syrupy email, every awkward voicemail, every overly enthusiastic suggestion to collaborate. You sit on the bench out front and sip your usual. Behind you, the pumps click. The garage bay hums. Inside, a line forms at the coffee counter. The sun hits the roof just right, casting long shadows like chapters closing. This isn't a gas station anymore. It's a chessboard. And they just realized they're playing defense. You knew it was coming. What you didn't expect was how sloppy it would be. It starts with a permit request flagged by your lawyer, a routine construction expansion filed under your brother's new rental project. He's adding a second building, expecting to connect sewer and electrical lines across the rear access road. Problem is that road's on your land. Your lawyer forwards you the documents with a single highlighted note. No right-of-way granted. You almost admire the nerve. They assumed you'd be too distracted by your coffee bar and community mural to notice they were building across your property. Or maybe they assumed you'd just say yes. Because that's how it always used to go. Used to. You call your lawyer, deny the permit. 2 days later, your brother shows up. No BMW this time, he's driving an old rental truck, probably thinking humility is more palatable in beige. He walks in like the floor might collapse beneath him. Hey, he says a little breathless. Got a sec. You motion to the bench near the counter. The place's quiet mid-morning lull. Just you, your part-time barista, and a soft jazz track humming through the speakers. I heard from the city, he begins. You nod. About your encroachment. His smile freezes. I wouldn't call it that. Well, the surveyor would. He clears his throat. Look, this is just a technical thing. We didn't mean to overstep. You take a long sip of coffee, let it settle. I'm sure you didn't. I was hoping we could work something out. You pull a folder from under the counter and hand it to him. Inside is a formal lease agreement. Monthly rent, maintenance expectations, access limitations, a clause requiring pre-approval for any future expansion. He flips through it. You're serious. You nod once, completely. I mean, this is kind of steep. You tilt your head. So is building on land you don't own. He sets the folder down, lips tight. You don't have to do this. You stand? No, but I get to. That's how ownership works. He leaves with the folder under his arm. 2 days later, you get an email from your sister. She's discovered the zoning maps too. And shocker, the new wellness spa's garden patio is technically rooted 3 feet into your west lot. The one your father quietly purchased 20 years ago when it was still a drainage ditch. She doesn't ask for a lease. She sends cupcakes. You send back the same folder. It spreads quickly, like a controlled fire. One by one, they realize the full extent of what your dad left behind and what they ignored. They inherited Flash. You inherited Foundation. You start logging the visits. Sister spa lease signed, full rent accepted. Brother apartments lease returned grudgingly with 2 amendments, both denied. Youngest sibling office annex, still pretending they don't need access until the pipes back up. You rename your digital folders. Redline Holdings Tenant 1, Redline Holdings Tenant 2, Redline Holdings. Former mockers, current renters. It's not pettiness. It's record keeping. One night, Theo joins you on the rooftop deck you added above the station's garage, fairy lights, patio chairs. A view of everything that used to sit above you. He sips his drink and says, "You turned the punchline into a portfolio." You smile. Dad always said, let them laugh. Just make sure you own the building they're laughing in. And now you do. They stop laughing completely now. The shift happens so subtly you almost miss it, a slow erosion of the smirks, the eye rolls, the passive-aggressive digs over holiday meals. Your name, once synonymous with gas station in their whispered circles, is suddenly treated with caution, sometimes even respect. They stop calling it Dad's junk. Now it's Redline Holdings. Now you're not the one in the overalls, you're the one in the meeting invite. It begins with your sister, the one with the spa and the Instagram full of marble counters and rosewater mists. She sends you a 3-paragraph email titled, Reconnecting and Collaborating. You don't even open it right away. Then your brother, the condo king, reaches out next. This time, no spreadsheets, no sarcasm. He invites you to lunch. Not business, he says, just family. You go. He picks the trendiest rooftop bar in town. Tries to smile like the years of mockery were some extended inside joke you both got in on. You let him talk. He waxes poetic about family synergy, legacy projects, blending your land leverage with their design sense. You sip sparkling water and let him dangle the word partnership like a golden ticket. Then he slides over a folder. Inside is a proposal to combine all the inherited assets into a family trust. Equal shares, equal control. You blink slowly, then lean back in your chair. So, let me get this straight, you say. You want to pool all the things you inherited with the one thing you all used to laugh at. He laughs sheepishly. Look, we were stupid. You proved us wrong. This is our chance to rebuild as a team. You tap the folder once with your finger. It's interesting. He brightens. Really? You nod. Yeah. It's interesting how desperate you all got once you realized you didn't read the fine print. He blinks. You push the folder back, not interested. He tries to recover. Okay, maybe not a trust. But at least let us collaborate. Join the board for the family group. You'd bring so much insight. I'm not interested in being invited into a club that was built on excluding me. You toss a few bills on the table and leave him staring at his untouched latte. Later that week, your youngest sibling tries a different approach. They stop by the station after hours. No appointment, no fanfare. Just them standing in the glow of the now fixed neon sign, holding a brown paper bag. Peace offering, they say, handing it over. Inside 2 sandwiches from the old deli your dad used to love. You sit on the tailgate of your work truck. They sit beside you. No business pitch, no fake smiles, just the crickets chirping behind the building and the hum of a nearby street lamp. You did something big here, they finally say. We didn't see it coming. You nod. I know. Dad would have been proud. You don't say anything. You just take a bite of the sandwich and let the quiet linger. Later, as you close up for the night, you flip the sign to closed. And think about how strange it is they once thought you got the scraps. Now they want a seat at your table. But here's the thing they never understood. You built the table, and not everyone gets a chair. You don't call it revenge. You call it administration. The day the rent is due, it's raining a slow, polite drizzle that washes the dust off the sidewalks and makes the air smell like metal and clean concrete. You're in your office at Redline, the office now renovated with floor-to-ceiling windows and minimalist furniture exactly how you like it, sipping coffee when the first lease payment lands in your inbox. It's from your sister. Direct deposit, full amount, no note. The transaction makes a soft chime on your laptop. You pause, smile, click it once to file. Then the second comes through. Your brother's. You double-check the document attached as a PDF titled Redline Lease Q1, Building 4. He's finally stopped pretending he's doing you a favor. There's a signature, an acknowledgement of terms. You own the land. He pays you rent. It's cleaner than any apology. The third sibling sends theirs later in the afternoon. A little late, of course. Always fashionably behind. They include a text. Just sent the wire. Let me know if the numbers look off still learning this stuff. You don't reply. You simply add it to your folder Redline Rentals, paid in full. You walk to the window cup, warm in your hand, and look out across the street at their properties. All three of them. Gleaming modern, decorated with just enough taste to be called success. They each run their own show, but the dirt beneath all that marble, steel, and glass. That's yours. And every 30 days you get a reminder. You think back to the early days, the laughter, the memes. Your brother's voice echoing in your memory. A gas station. Seriously, what are you gonna do? Run it like a lemonade stand. Well, you did run it like a lemonade stand. One that bought the street. It's not about the money anymore. You're doing fine, better than fine. Redline's pulling in enough to expand. Theo's drawing up plans for a second location on another parcel you quietly acquired just outside city limits. But this moment is something else. You don't gloat. You don't send screenshots or smug texts. You just keep working, keep showing up early, keep oiling the hinges on the front door because your dad always said the little things kept a place running. They think you're being cold, distant. You're not, you're just busy. You added a tenant relations tab to your company website. It's there for them to use when they need something, when their utilities need rerouting, when their leases come up for renegotiation. You make it clear professionally that rental rates are subject to adjustment, and they'll adjust. Because you've become a line item in their ledgers, not a sibling, not a side character, not even a rival. A landlord. They can love you, hate you, resent you, admire you. None of it changes the math. The foundation is yours, literally. You never slam the door shut. But you don't hold it open either. You're not responsible for their comfort anymore. You're responsible for your boundaries. And if they want to live inside the empire, your dad quietly laid out the one they mocked. The one they tried to build on top of without permission, well, they know where the payment portal is. The sky is gold the morning you find it one final envelope buried in a stack of mail at the station. No return address, just your name and your father's handwriting. You pause, thumb hovering over the edge, heart tapping in its own slow rhythm. He wrote this before the will. Before the sickness made his voice slur and his hands shake. Before they all thought he lost his mind. You sit at your desk, open it carefully. Inside a single sheet of paper yellowing slightly at the edges folded with care. No speech, no instructions. Just a line. I knew you'd see what they never could, Dad. That's it. No dollar amount. No hidden deed. No treasure map. Just acknowledgement and the weight of quiet trust. You read it again, then again, as if the words might shift under the light. They don't. They're solid. Real. You slide it into the drawer next to the original title to Redline. One built you a portfolio, the other built your spine. Outside business hums. Theo's pacing the gravel phone in one hand, hard hat in the other. The barista opens early. She's been asking about hiring a second person. You nod. Approve it? You've even started offering job training to high schoolers who live nearby. A few kids have called it their first real shot. That means something. Your siblings don't drop by anymore. At least not unannounced. Now they schedule. Now they send emails with subject lines like proposal for parcel adjacent to West Fence and renewal request. 6-month extension. They sign the contracts. They wire the rent. They call you Mr. Your last name in group messages. You don't rub it in. That's not the point. Your revenge never needed glitter. It came in receipts and legal filings, in monthly rent checks, Signed by people who once laughed out loud at what you were handed. Now, they see it for what it was, not a joke, a seed. And you, patient, steady, and quiet, were the only one who watered it. Sometimes you still sit out back at dusk where the old air compressor used to be. You watch the sun paint gold across the asphalt, just like it used to catch your dad's shoulders when he closed up shop. The station isn't a relic anymore. It's a landmark, a heartbeat, a legacy you didn't inherit, you earned. You think about what people miss when they only look at polish, at flash, at instant value. Your siblings inherited buildings. You inherited vision. And that made all the difference. Now everything is quiet again. But it's not the silence of being overlooked. It's the stillness of completion. The kind your father must have felt every evening after locking the station door, his back sore, his hands grimy, but knowing the lights stayed on because he made them stay on. You walk the lot slowly, gravel crunches under your boots. The pumps stand tall, clean worn in all the right ways. You run your hand over the cold metal. No crowd watching, no headline coming. Just you. And a place that once looked like failure from the outside, but turned out to be something closer to freedom. Sometimes you still hear their voices, not aloud, just echoes. Their jokes, their certainty, the laughter that felt like chains. But it fades now, softer each time. You don't carry it anymore. What you carry now is weightless. A kind of peace. Not because you got even, not because you won, but because you finally stepped out from under their shadow and found your own shape in the sun. The Red Line station doesn't just make money. It means something. To you, to this town, to the future. It's no longer the joke at the end of the will. It's the place people stop, look twice, remember. The one that stood up quietly and stayed. You built more than a business. You built yourself. And if you're still awake, that's okay too. Some nights just lying still and breathing softly is enough to return home to yourself.